Hi, Marty Schwartz here. I know the beginners out there that have just started this whole process of playing guitar, you might be thinking I've kind of neglected you. And I want to apologize for that. I feel terrible, just terrible. And so this next lesson is dedicated to you. We're going to focus on the open chords of the guitar. Basically what that means is all like the kind of first chords that you want to learn. And I have a couple of, cool, guitar teacher style things to show you, but they really work and they really help. So here we go. The first thing I want to talk about, we're going to just focus on these chords that I think you should learn in the beginning. And let's talk about the G chord. There it is in all its glory. All right, there's a few different ways to play the G chord, but one particular way that I like is where I have my pinky on the high E string right here on the 3rd fret, and then my ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string, right there, these two, okay? Then my middle finger on the 3rd fret of this top string here, and then my first finger on the 2nd fret of the next string down, so the whole chord looks like this. Now this is one way to play it. Now if you're an absolute beginner, you can actually just play these two to start with and just try not to strum that last string there. And you'll at least be able to survive as you're playing. But I'm going to act like you can do this already, okay? Now this is really cool because this ring finger here on the 3rd fret of the B string is the same spot and the same note that it will need to be for a D chord. So you can see when I did it, my ring finger didn't even leave. Now that's going to be really weird at first. It's going to be really hard. But this is a great thing to practice switching between. See, I can actually have a conversation and still do it. And my ring finger is working as kind of like a pivot point between those two chords. And you're going to see G and D all the time, and there's going to be times where you're going to need to switch those pretty quick. So I recommend, this is great like when you're watching TV even, like just like that, okay? Another thing, like let's talk about a C chord, for instance, which is a little bit trickier to play. What I like to do when I'm learning chords, even like a D chord or even a G chord, I like to, and this is just my approach, I like to think of one finger, and it's usually going to be the note that's the high, closest to being up here, as opposed to down here. So for instance, if a C chord looks like this, then when I tell someone, since it's hard for them to get that shape down all at once, I tell them just think of the ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string down. Put that there. When you think of a C chord, put that there. And what it does is it's actually helping your hand get lined up for the rest of the chord. So like a C chord, oh, okay, ring finger right there. And then I get that. I mean, of course, eventually you want to just be able to throw the chord down and magically have it be placed there, but it just doesn't, start that way. So a C chord, I'd think of my ring finger right there, and then I get the other pieces in place. A G chord, I would think of my middle finger on the 3rd fret right there, as opposed, because I've seen students where, G chord, they put that there, and then they do that, and then, it's better to go from this way down, because the quicker you get with it, you'll see that, like for instance, a G chord, let's say it takes me just a split second longer to get these two, like I can actually start strumming and then my fingers get there just in time. Okay? A D chord, first finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string up here on this G string. If I think of that note first for a D chord, it helps me place my other fingers there in time. Pinky down, get to the G. So any chord that you're learning, like for instance a B7 chord, if you're learning some blues, think of the middle finger as your starting point on the second fret of the A string, and then form the shape. Another thing, like maybe pick just 2 chords and go back and forth as much as you can. Okay, now I'm going to do D and C back and forth. It's a little trickier. Starting point, shape. Okay, here's the last thing. It's helps you learn the chords as quickly as possible. Let's say I'm trying to learn this D chord. And you know, as soon as you play another chord that you're working on and it's time to go back to the D, you can't remember it yet. The quickest way to get these chords down, and this was taught to me by a brilliant guitar teacher, what he had me do was I played the D chord, and then what I did, I was kind of like imagine like I sprayed like, you know, liquid nitrogen on my hands, you know, to freeze it, right? So the idea is you play a chord shape, and then you take your hand off, and you try and keep the shape as best as you can, taking it off. You know, the goal is not to keep the shape perfect. But what happens is when it's time to put it back down, you make the necessary adjustments to get the chord right. And what that does is it gets the muscle memory going a lot faster than just every time, just, you know, playing through the chord. So I really, I can't stress that enough. So watch, here's the D chord. Keep the shape the best I can. It'll be tricky. Take your hand off and then put it back on to the fretboard. And then it'll help you get it quicker. I'll do it with the C chord. Keep the shape the best you can. Still put that team captain thing down first. Right there, 3rd fret of the A string. The rest lines up. Off, and do it again. G chord. With that extra finger right there. Alright? Really helpful stuff. You'll get it quicker if you do some of these things. And I'm speaking from experience. Personal experience. Alright? So just to recap really quick, think of, you know, the lowest note of the chord as your starting point for the chord shapes you're learning. Practice the G and D back and forth because you're going to see that over and over in the songs that you're learning. And then also keeping the shape of the chord when you take your hand off and putting it back on. All right? And if you do all those things, you'll do it quicker than someone who's not. I promise. All right? So, nextlevelguitar.com, Marty, friend, click, site, information, happy, keywords, all right? So, hopefully that helps some of the beginners out there that are just, you know, in the very beginning stages. The first 3 months will be the hardest. If you can get through those first 3 months, the rest is a cakewalk, and it just becomes more fun, you know? If you can get the chords, you know, then you can, like, play songs. You know, it's just going to take a little while. So be patient and just remember that, you know, everyone started that way, you know? That's it. Bye.